Ready?
Yes.
All right.
Welcome
To another woo.
for thought.
Yes.
With your favorite hosts,
Larry
and Inelia.
So what do you want to talk about, honey?
Oh, well, I want to talk about locking timelines. So you have it right here.
Yes. It's a woo for thought. So if you're not sure about what I'm talking about, you go to Substack and you type in search Inelia Benz, and then it'll come up. You can subscribe or whatever you like. And then one of the tabs on top says woo for thought. And then there you'll find essays.
Yes. And I think you can actually subscribe just to the essays.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but
No? Okay.
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
I just don't know.
I don't know either.
Either way, that's how I get to it.
Yes.
I just go to Substack, type in Inelia Benz, go to the tab on top says woo for thought, and those are those newsletter articles, the longer ones.
Yes.
There's also the regular ones that we have our Driving to the Rest podcast, the same place.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah, there you go. So what we're talking about today is
Timelines.
the woo for thought. Does it have a title?
It's called Locking Timelines.
Okay.
I'll put it right here so you can read it.
So
remember.
this one stretches your brain a bit.
Yeah? It stretches your brain a little bit?
It stretches your brain a bit because it deals with things like quantums and timelines and plants and most efficient ways to things. And
Yeah, I was quite surprised that most people don't understand what quantum means. And
right.
I had to kind of do a little bit of mental gymnastics when people talked about quantum with regards to the self-empowerment community and the sovereign communities and the expansion of awareness communities, spiritual communities, all those. I had to do a little bit of mental gymnastics to fit it in. And I really liked the way that individuals use the word quantum. But how it got there is often forgotten. How it got that we use quantum to mean timelines and different dimensions.
A little bit like the podcast we're listening on our drive home about translating the Bible from Hebrew, I think, into whatever language you're saying. And the Hebrew words had like 10 different meanings for the same word. And there's no spelling difference and not even a pronunciation difference. And many times not even a situational difference. It's just you had to know what we were meaning when we were talking. So you could say the same word and it mean a completely totally different thing.
Yeah. This one is kind of like that, but not quite. You see, quantum is from the word quantity, and quantum would be the smallest quantity of something.
Simple.
And in physics, when they started experimenting with or observing or investigating and researching and experimenting with the smallest quantity of things, they found out that the physical laws of nature that they thought were pretty well established didn't work. So, for example, you might have heard that a photon could be a particle, behave like a particle or behave like a wave, or be in one place or in multiple places, or in one time or in a different time, or affect one thing here and another one, thousands of miles away. So that kind of weirdness that it's being observed at a very tiny level of measuring physical universe and observing physical universe. And when people started talking about that, then individuals who are intelligent within the, expansion of awareness, consciousness explorations or spiritual explorations thought, I know that. That is actually how the physical universe works, and this is how manifestation works, and this is how our lives work and functions and everything else. They put two and two together and they started calling that quantum, which it isn't like it isn't, because it's not at the smallest level. It's at actually macro level of experienced in life in the universe. Right? So it's not the smallest measurement, but it's actually big things like a body or life, an entire life or several lifetimes or whatever.
Right.
But they still called it quantum, which means very tiny particle. So that's a little bit of mental gymnastics, but like you said, it's like when people translate it, now the way it's used, that is way more interesting to me personally than the measurement of a tiny little thing in the universe, right? Even though that's where the weirdness starts showing up. You can't generalize it anymore. You can't,
Yeah, I think mostly now in the communities we travel in, because we don't usually hang out with particle physicists.
No, we don't.
Not on a regular basis,
No.
Anyway. Maybe we do, but we didn't know because they don't identify themselves as a particle physicist,
or
right?
quantum physicists. Yeah.
Or quantum physicist or whatever. So mostly we understand when people start talking about quantum,
We
they're
understand.
meaning the quantum effects that are observed
Yes.
of these small little things.
In the
and
larger
our
perspective.
interpretation at a macro level of those things.
Yes.
So without all those words, we just say quantum.
Right.
Quantum effect
Exactly. Yes.
of something.
Yeah.
Right. And so locking a timeline being a quantum effect,
Yes.
that whole discussion, I mean, that whole part of this came from another podcast. We listen to a lot of podcasts.
We do.
We drive
love
quite
it.
a lot.
We do.
We have almost 200,000 miles on our 2016 truck.
Yes.
So that's a lot of miles.
That's a lot of miles for a 2016.
And that's not the only truck we drove.
No, we had the Jeep, and for a long
Jeep
time we
for a
used
long
that a
time,
lot.
and a couple of Suburbans,
We have
old
two
ones.
Suburbans. Yeah, we use those a lot. So
Both of those are over 200,000 miles, but they're 1990s even.
yeah.
Anyways, they're older. But besides that,
we were listening to this podcast, and one of the things that the guy said, and I mentioned the name, I can say the name of the podcast here. So
Julian
the podcast,
Dory.
the Julian Dory, who's a comedian, but he's actually interviews people who are
some
really
very
interesting
people. I was
Yeah.
a little bit taken aback at the who he's talking
Yeah.
to. It's like, that doesn't seem to match your,
Right.
demeanor, but
Yeah.
cool, interesting.
Right. Interesting. I mean, I haven't listened to him much,
Just a couple.
but yeah. But what I've listened, he's very interesting people he brings in. One of these people's names is Ron James, and he likes to explore reality. Okay. And then he was talking about how physics does what, I mean, he said the physical, the nature, he said. Nature breaks the laws of physics all the time. It doesn't care about laws of physics. and then he started talking about
Photosynthesis.
quantum photosynthesis, which is a thing. It's a whole group, like, area of study for quantum, like, tiny little particles. It's research.
Okay. Right. Well, we've all seen the picture. Probably there's a leaf and there's sun, and it hits the leaf and it turns into sugar or whatever, and it makes
Right.
the plant grow.
Yes, that's photosynthesis.
And it gives us oxygen and sucks on CO2, things like that. So
Yeah.
some form of photosynthesis, right? But the quantum photosynthesis is a studying of the pathway that those photons take in the plant to do their
Right.
thing. And there's apparently quite a few pathways they could take.
Yes.
And I had no idea.
Yeah.
But there are. So which one does it take?
Right.
And that's where you get into the whole, which pathway is the most efficient?
Which pathway is the most efficient? Exactly. And that is something I explored in the book that I'm writing right now, The Planets of Entry, which is the third book of the Return series. It's a science fiction series. And in that series, I'm exploring the origin of the human collective, the origin of sentiency, the origin of the nature of the physical universe, and also this kind of choice of outcome, the most efficient outcome for a particularly chosen experience.
And one of the characters is sentient AI. Just
to
throw it
say.
in the bucket.
Yes,
Just so
yes.
you know.
Yeah. So what Ron James said in the podcast, saying a few words, he basically explained my entire third book.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the hell just
In one
happened?
sentence.
It took me like 400 pages to explore this thing, and he did it in one sentence or two sentences, right? And this is what he actually said, because I grabbed it from the transcription in the video of his the podcast, right? He said, what they found, he was talking about scientists, was that this plant was collapsing into a quantum state. And when he says into a quantum state, he doesn't mean the smallest particle. He means the multiple timeline thing, right?
Okay.
Where it sent the photon on all possible routes through the plant, then collapsed back into the physical reality and took the most logical route. Basically, what it's doing, it's sidestepping the laws of physics, going into a quantum state outside the laws of physics to determine its best possible way of executing the task within physical reality. That's what he said. And I think at that moment, your brain kind of went whoosh.
Yeah, he said, "Can you believe it?" And I was like, "What? Can you believe what he just said?" I was like, "What did he just say?"
And I repeated it back to you several times.
Like,
yeah,
I never even thought about it before.
right. It didn't
So what are we
even
going to have for
register.
lunch, honey?
Yeah. It didn't even register as interesting to you. It's like,
No, not
it's
particularly. Because it seems so not exactly relatable, right?
Right. But
So
to
your
me, it was-
book,
yeah,
that was more relatable.
right.
But the sentence meant a lot because it's like one of the things we talk about is having the universe repeat back to us the things that we express,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it's repeating it back to you in other words.
Yeah.
Words completely different than the ones that we, usually talk about or think about. We don't talk about photosynthesis too much.
Right.
Or quantum. Well, we talk about quantum quite a few times.
Yeah, we have been putting in out little bits of information about quantum manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're interested in manifestation at all or getting good at manifesting what you want, I have a few things out there, courses and classes, and also the Instant Manifestation Workshop, which is on the Benz Academy website. I think that's on demand. And at our ineliabenz.com store, we have several small classes, our classes that are manifestation related. So if you're into like that type of thing, go there. But to me, it's like just learning how to do this is super important right now for all of us. Everybody who's awake, who's a light worker, needs to learn how to use instant manifestation, quantum manifestation, and choosing and locking in timelines for themselves that are reflect back to them the energy they bring into the universe, into this physical universe.
It reminds me a little bit also of this part, David Avocado's best ever little experiments. The best ever.
Yes, the best
It's
ever.
like feeling and expressing and feeling and I mean, it's like it's not just, let's have the best ever drive.
No, but it's like, we're going to have the best ever drive.
It's going to be so excellent.
Good, so excellent.
Right. So
But
that
there are some
energy-
resistances I have found with you. There are some. So, Larry, you're going to Alaska for 10 days or something.
10 days, honey. It's better not
7
be
days?
10 days
6
if the
days?
airplanes are like grounded or something. There's 7 days, honey.
Okay, honey, you're going to Alaska for 7 days. I'm going to have the best time without you here. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be
You're
great.
going to have parties like when we left.
Yes.
Brett had parties all week.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be the best time. I'm going to have the best time without you here. Resistance, any? Did you get resistances?
Tiny ones, yeah. Tiny ones, yeah.
Which ones?
I don't want to miss out.
You don't want to miss out on those great times. And you're going to have the best ever trip to Alaska with your family.
Yes, it's going to be great.
It's going to be so great.
It will be so great.
Yes, it's going to be the
best time
one
ever. Yeah.
Resistances, any?
Well, I just have to like make sure I know where my coffee thing goes. You pour your coffee in the thing and it comes coffee and then you drink it in the morning. You have your routine where you push the button and your hot water gets hot.
Yeah.
So there's a little uncertainty about how the best ever coffee's coming in the morning.
Maybe you can bring your little machine with you.
Maybe I can
You
bring.
have a massive suitcase.
Yeah. So we can become accustomed to certain things.
Because you know what? I think your dad doesn't drink coffee.
I don't know.
I
He
don't
used
think they
to.
have coffee.
Yeah,
in
something
their
called
house.
Kachava, whatever.
Yeah,
that is.
exactly.
And maybe Kachava is the best thing ever.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll find out.
You will. Maybe bring some coffee just in case it isn't, so you can have the best time there. Because with you without a coffee, I don't know about that.
Just in the morning, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I do
make
need
an
to
instant
apply that
Larry?
to it because there's, I'm two sides about the whole thing because I don't want to leave because I just don't like to.
Yeah, you do.
It was kind of like going fishing, I kind of didn't want to leave to go fishing,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I wanted to go fishing and come back with a big
Lots of money.
paycheck and tons of fish and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, now what? You
Yeah.
got this tension,
Yeah.
right? So it might be nice to lock in a nice timeline
It would be nice, yes.
or go experience whatever timeline throws its onto the wall, or how's it going to work?
No, I think that at the moment, as we're becoming adults, as light workers, we can't really go around the planet just going...
At the whim of whatever.
Yes, on the whims of whatevers. We really need to take responsibility for what we're doing here.
It does
We
seem
really
like
do.
the whims of whatever's, I mean, there's a majority influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the whims of whatever's, the majority influences will be light dark because the majority of
Exactly. The majority of
outputs
people on the
of-
planet are
of
light
the
dark.
invitations and requests are
Yes.
light darks.
Yeah.
Right. So you might be the invitation maker instead of
Yeah.
taker
Yeah.
or something like that. So moving into a quantum state like a plant, how do we do that?
Well, when I looked at the papers where quantum photosynthesis was discussed, it seemed that some theorists pointed to a quantum mechanics and imaginary time. The superposition instead of solid position in nature, what Ron calls a physical reality, right? Superposition means that it's not solid in position, right? Of the photon traveling through the plant, superposition being a possible state of multiple natures rather than one, and multiple places rather than just one. That explains it, right?
We pretty much exist. Yeah, we pretty much exist that way already.
We do, but usually
We're
the
just
ones that
not
locks in the
conscious of it.
timeline is somebody else. We allow other people to look us into their timeline
I got
instead
it.
of growing up and making sure we lock in our timeline, which is like joy, light, love,
Right. I agree. So if you want to passively sit in the victim state of the circumstance of like no coffee in the morning.
Exactly.
You can do that.
You
and
can.
you can have kachava and it'll be terrible.
Yes.
Right? Or, you can lock in a much more pleasant, joyful, high frequency timeline and have coffee or no coffee is irrelevant. It's the
Right.
frequency of the experience and it's going to be
Awesome.
me. And repeat it back. It's going to be awesome. That's going to be the best kachava ever.
Yes.
Right.
But when you have those little niggles in the background that you're not convinced, that's when you enter
Prepare.
in other things, right? And you
Right.
can have, you don't know which way it's going to go.
I don't know how it'll go.
Yes.
But
You can, because we are very good at setting ourselves up for sabotage and failure.
practice that. We're pretty good at practicing.
We're practicing that very well.
We've practiced that very well for the last however longs.
Yes.
And there are times and phases where we go through like this flow state where everything is just perfect, right? And that'll generally last for a period of time of usually a half a day or less.
Yeah.
Sometimes hours, sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes a couple hours, but mostly it's a transient state, right?
Yes.
Although it feels a lot of times like when we talk about that transient flow state where like the artist is in the art or the bicyclist is riding up the hill or the hiker is to the mountain, the flow state where they're at that state of what feels like enlightened, blissful, experiential flow. Everything is coming and being experienced at a really high state. That state feels like the state that you imagine the new paradigm might be,
Yeah.
But at the same time, it when you're experiencing it, it can become too big. You know what I mean?
Can you explain that with an example, maybe?
Right. After some time, you're overwhelmed by that state, feel overwhelmed? Like, can it keep going? Can it keep going? And at some point you're like, it can't keep going, right? You sort of stop it yourself.
No, you need to explain it further for me.
Okay, my experience of those flow states in occasion are that the other state of being, like we are normally in, impedes on it, and it's like a different state. Yeah. So things like eating, sleeping, things like taking care of your body don't seem to have any importance anymore.
Right.
But they do have importance.
Yes.
So in those states, it has to be transient. It has to be temporary, or else you just won't eat. Right. I guess one of the ideas would be maybe to move that flow state into eating too, and sleeping too, and everything. Yeah, but again, what we're talking about is what is our desired experience of reality?
Is to experience the reality, to feel the ground under your feet, and
to have things have permanence,
flavor
and
of the strawberry.
It's repeatable. You don't pick up a strawberry, and every time it's different.
Right.
Although yesterday we did try a different one.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're sweeter, and sometimes they're sour.
Yeah.
But they're all in the
strawberry has been different to me, so maybe the fact that I noticed that and you didn't might be part of it.
Maybe, huh?
Yeah.
Either way, we're pushing in the edges of what is our experience of reality, and locking in a timeline. Almost always we say we want to lock in the best, highest, most whatever timeline, but it doesn't seem like that's actually what we mostly do.
We mostly don't do it.
Not we
though.
Specifically.
Well,
but we in general. General, we lock in timelines that aren't necessarily
the most efficient at
anything or any of those other things. They are
other people's timelines.
Less selected.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what we're talking about, being more selective about the timelines you lock in.
Yeah.
Through being aware of that this is a process that happens. Sometimes just being aware of that process means you can catch yourself as a part of someone else's locked in timeline.
Right.
And select yourself a little bit nicer one.
Yes.
Or a little bit better one. Or a completely different one.
Exactly.
That kind of what we're talking about?
Yeah. So one of the things that I notice it can go that way, it can go this way, is, for example, let's say you're a parent, okay? And let's say you have 3 children, and one of the children is making choices in life that, as you know from experience as an adult, are going to bring him a lot of unhappiness. Let's say they decided to become a drug addict.
They're just experimenting with a little bit of heroin.
Exactly.
Just a little bit, not very much, just a tiny bit.
Yeah, and some alcohol added.
Maybe some booze and a little bit of that too.
And as an adult, that's not going to go well.
Mostly nobody can just do a little bit of that stuff.
No. So, as a parent, it's really, really difficult for you to let go of that timeline, because that kid is going to be your kid, whether they're an addict or extremely happy, like being, creating beautiful experiences. They're still going to be your kid. You're still going to love them, right? But sometimes you have to release what you wanted for that kid, for them to have that time, lock in that timeline for themselves, and for you not to participate in any of the drama, the buying of whatevers or lies or whatevers that will come with that comes as a package deal with an addict. All the lying, manipulation, drama, aggression, all those things come with the addict. And sometimes you just have to release it because that's not your timeline. So how do you do it? You detach the importance of what you wanted for the kid and allow them in yourself to have that experience. But when they come knocking for drama, and when they come knocking for forgiveness, and when they come knocking for manipulations and lies and money, you say no. And that's really tough. It's really hard not to step back into that timeline that they've chosen and participate and feed it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they turn around and tell everybody that you are a bad person and this and this and the other, you let it go. You don't give it any importance, you know. You know you're a good dad, right? And you know you're a good mom. You know it. So you don't need the, you know, other people knowing that. Whoever is important enough in your life will know it anyways. So sometimes it gets a little sticky.
Yeah, because there's so many stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
If anyone who's been on any of that journey knows 100 different stories. We see them in the movies, read them in the books, we experience them ourselves, all different levels and varieties of all different things, right?
Yes.
And in some cases, we'll latch on to the story, right?
Yeah.
That we want to experience the most. Now, that would become our timeline.
Yeah.
And we hope the other person maybe joins that timeline, but they maybe not, right?
Right.
So the timeline that you're picking as a person listening to this is going to need to necessarily be, for your purpose to come here, a high frequency one.
Yes.
Right. So the high frequency timeline experiences, they have some things there, and there are some things that are definitely not there. The definitely not there things are the things that you're not going to invite in or join.
Yeah.
I mean, the list is probably exhaustive of the not in it and in it things, but circumstantially, you can see obvious things like being tortured, being victim of stuff,
Or
right?
savior.
Being the savior of a story. It's like, I'm going to save them or this or that. All of these stories go the wayside, and different stories take their place, such as I will be, say I've got sick 2 kids, right? One of them is not doing that. The one
Pay
that's
attention to
not
that
doing
one.
that, pay attention to the one that's not doing that.
Exactly.
I mean, who gets the attention? Who gets the
most of your thoughts during
thoughts
the day?
and frequency, timeline, invitations? Let's have a wonderful trip over to here.
Yes.
And we're not even going to worry about where the heroin dealer is over here. We don't even know. We didn't even think about it.
Exactly.
It's not even entering into our right. I'm just picking on heroin because it's just a name. I'm not specifically. That could be anything. But in a sense, you know, you're in a split.
Yes.
And in a split,
It becomes obvious.
which ones are high frequency experiences, which ones are not high frequency experiences.
Exactly,
And you create and lock in a high frequency timeline. I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Other times in our other incarnations through the last however many thousand years, probably even more than thousands of years, the timeline that we will lock in is one that has light and dark.
Exactly.
And all types of varieties of flavors of experiences.
All sorts. But that's not your job this time.
This time is different. All right. So you can give yourself that little bit of understanding. This time is different.
It's different. Yeah.
This time is different.
Right. I want to read a little bit of the end here. Well, actually, I think it's the middle.
Okay.
Because these essays are long, right?
Light workers losing track of why they're here.
Yes. So it's more in the nature of our reality or our society has gone awry somehow, right? So basically, there's a way for you to know whether you're locked into the most efficient timeline for you to have high frequency experience on Earth. Okay,
right.
There's a knowing.
We're just saying efficient, but it doesn't necessarily mean efficient, right?
Efficient to be a drug addict. Efficient to be.
It's the most. It is a. Let's just say it is a, because I don't know if you could say you can lock in one timeline as the best high frequency timeline that could exist.
That's the whole point of this is you can.
The one best one.
Yes, you can actually do that. Okay, you can. And you can sense into where your life is right now. You can sense into it and see, is it in the right place?
Okay.
Because a lot of people that are reading this or listening to this podcast, they have had a feeling since they were little that there was something really wrong with the planet.
Something's not right, huh?
But that is actually a guiding system for yourself that allows you to guide yourself to the best experiences, the best, most efficient experience of high frequency experiences, and also the rest of humanity that has chosen that.
Okay.
Right? That's why it's important for you to know. And one of the things is tapping into that knowing, right? And it's very simple, right? We can look at this present timeline that you're experiencing right now in your life and say, does this timeline feel right? We look at it from the perspective of all choices we have made in our lives and get a really good feeling of whether or not we're in the right track or not, right? Sometimes it's I lost my way a little bit there, and maybe I should do these things a lot better or not. These type of things come in, and then changes to make. And sometimes it's like, yep, I'm pretty much locked into the best and most efficient timeline, right? Or maybe not in the past, but right now I am. Okay, so when we meld into the present time, we can test for a timeline off things. Some things might be off. And yes, we can fix those. And by off things, I don't mean falling into a belief that this timeline doesn't feel right because I don't have a Ferrari in the garage. When in fact, we never did anything in our lives to get the type of income that allows for a Ferrari and the garage to put it in. Right? So this is part of it. What the choices that we've made. It is more in the nature of our reality. Our society has gone awry somehow. You can do better. You can do differently. Right now, in this moment, in this present time. Often, light workers will go off track after they meet someone influential, like what they might call a twin flame or soulmate, a teacher or authority, and their goals, aspirations, and plans go out the window.
What plan?
Yes, exactly.
So often it's the joining others that brings the timeline quantums all of
wobbly, yeah. And, it's like there's certain people out there who I might call predators of light workers who are really good at latching onto a light worker and sending off spinning for an entire lifetime. Yes. I've seen that so many times.
Does it work the other way around too?
Not so much.
Not so much, huh?
No. One of the things that most light workers are not aware of is that individuals within the human collective are naturally led by authority. Mm-hmm. Because we're a high-frequency species, the authority would be in a natural setting to be good, nourishing, inspiring, and would lead us into a life-asserting, life-positive experiences in the world. So that is the nature of us. But what's actually happening is the opposite,
yes.
Right? We've been in a light-dark paradigm for a long time. And that also means experiencing a natural states here on Earth. We experience darkness. We're not victims of these choices of experiences darkness in our lives. We knew coming into this world that people were doing that here, right? And so the fact that in itself that there's darkness is not the wrong timeline.
Right.
But what you're experiencing and what you're feeding and what you're creating, that can be the wrong timeline.
Right.
Okay.
You feel it.
Yes.
Oh, that's not right. This is not the one I should be doing.
Right.
Let me get off of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then in the essay, I took a little bit of about how you can lock a timeline yourself, and how a person in authority that we give in authority to can lock a timeline for us. So, all the details are in the actual essay, but just to say that is how we function, this is how we work. So basically, it's about us taking back that ability, learning how to do it, right? And making sure that we individually and as a collective group of individuals start locking in timelines that are high frequency. Okay.
That's a good thought, because the light dark workers are a bit more organized in locking in a timeline that suits them.
Yes.
Right. They have trillions of dollars and all of the regularly
Media,
accessed media outlets and movies and on and on and on, and all the ways that it can come in, so that what you receive has been filtered to try to get your agreement to lock in a light-dark timeline.
Exactly. Now, you might think, how can little me affect the universe by locking in a timeline, right? Little? Remember little? What is another word for little?
Quantum.
Exactly.
Quantum, you can do a lot.
Yes, exactly, right? Yeah.
Right.
So it's basically, we do have a good sense of direction, right? Light workers came in with a really good sense of direction. So when a timeline goes off, we can resist the temptation to fall into fear or fear narratives, which are being used to lead the masses into dark experiences, because light-dark experiences require dark experiences, right?
It kind of reminds me of our movie last night.
Oh, yes.
There were quite a lot of dark experiences to try to have a light experience. It's like, I know I'm going to have to do this terrible thing now.
Yes.
Because at the end of this terrible thing, I'll be so much better.
Yeah.
I think that was the message of the movie, in a sense, right?
Yeah, you have to
got to go through this terrible horribleness in order to do right for everyone, or do the best. So, like, yeah. By the way, that's Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
3, yes.
Which, all in all, I got to say, is as good, if not better, entertaining than the first one.
Yeah.
And the first one was quite entertaining. The imagination.
Yeah.
That was on display in the movie is really, really over the top.
Right.
But it has the regular light, I don't know, it's like Lightworker trap message, which is we're stronger through our battles and our tortures and our whatever, it's like there was plenty of that. Kind of.
Yeah, it's like selling the drama and the light dark experience,
And
it's
the
like
savior, of course. It was giant savior. Guardians of the Galaxy. They're going to be saving somebody, and they saved the most innocent little victims.
Babies on the planet, in the universe, yes.
But only say the word boop.
Yeah.
Oh, boop, that. Boop, and boop, EO.
Boop. Yeah.
And EO.
EO. Boop, boop, boop. EO. Boop, boop.
That's it. Either way, enjoyable, entertaining, but aware of what timeline are they inviting me into. Oh, savior. Oh, terrible times to be the way to create a new real. They were here. They were creating a new reality. They were making the new paradigm, and the way to make the new paradigm is to destroy the old paradigm.
Right.
That's the way. Yeah. So what happens when you destroy the old paradigm?
Everybody dies.
Well, you are the old paradigm.
Yes.
If you engage in it, you are it.
So here's the thing, you see.
That was
it might feel really big, right? But let's bring it back to the quantum, and you're the quantum particle here. Okay. So, and it really literally means quantum amounts of time, which means every second of every day. We're talking about, okay, for the past minute, was I in a high frequency state on purpose, or did I give in to drama, bad feelings, anger, fear, frustration, envy, right? For the past 5 minutes, what did I do?
Pretty high.
Yeah. So you did it. For the past 5 minutes, you were great. You did great. So it's a little bit like that. At this time period, in time of Earth, where we are right now, 2023, it is about every day you check in with yourself and you ask this question of yourself. And if bad things happen, okay, bad things are happening because we're still bridging over and we're still partly in the dark light paradigm. Do you indulge in those negative energies? Do you feed them? Do you get mad and angry and go fight? Or do you passively become a victim or like try to ignore it and look the other way? Or what? Or do you actively step into your empowered self and decide how you're going to feel about things and what you're going to do about it, right? Which one is it? So you ask yourself that to yourself every day at a quantum level, at the smallest measurable level. The smallest measurable level for one person might be a day, maybe a month. The most smallest measurable amount for another person might be a minute, 5 minutes. Yeah, and then you ask yourself that question, and then you realign yourself with your choice of a high frequency experience on Earth and bringing high frequency onto the planet. Right? Mm-hmm. So part of that, like that guy say, I'm going to have the best day ever, right? But if you don't actually make that feeling happen, it's not going to happen, right? So it's about the feeling. Feelings are the brick and mortar of our reality, right? So there's a lot of tools you can use. You can use the stress relief exercise to release stress. If it's chronic, you can get that at, we have links. We'll put links in the podcast. You can use the exercise in this essay. Okay, you tap in. Okay,
tap into the quantum.
Yeah, ask yourself, was I true to myself today, or did I fall into fear, anger, or stupidity in my interactions with myself and others? Right? And if you did, you don't make it worse by feeling guilty and bad. You go, okay, oopsie.
I caught myself.
Okay, all right.
It was unconscious, and oh my gosh, I did it.
Yes.
All right, well, I know what did it. I know what to not do.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to lock in a timeline that doesn't have that.
Right.
It's like everyone can have their game.
Yeah.
There's 2 games right now.
Totally.
One's a drama game.
Yes.
High, low, light, darks. Light is in dark. There's light in there.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
like there's flowers.
Yeah.
Of course, the flowers probably get burned at the end, but there are flowers. And the other one.
Yes.
The flowers don't get burned.
Right.
They just smell great and grow as long as you want them to, and you probably don't even pick them.
Right.
You just enjoy their presence. And then the pretty little bee and the hummingbird who come and talk and send you an experiential message. It's like, the most nummy nectar. Oh, yes, that's the most nummy nectar. Then they go off. I mean, that's the kind of thing in the high frequency paradigm.
Yes.
No bee stung, no hummingbird. No flower got picked or harmed in the making of that movie. Right?
Yeah.
So lock in that timeline.
Right.
And it's conscious.
It is conscious, yeah.
It's conscious.
Yeah.
Expand yourself to your quantum self, right?
Right.
Which is the opposite word, right?
Right.
Unexpand yourself to the quantum self. You know what I mean by expand?
Yes.
Expand your awareness to include your tiniest bits.
Yes.
And those tiniest bits, which are like the plant and the photosynthesis, there are a lot of things on autopilot.
Your thoughts, awareness, the monkey brains,
et cetera,
choices
all the
invitations
from all the others around you.
Mm-hmm.
So some
and
of
question everything.
Right. Some of the tricks, I guess we call it hacks, are clearly do your best to surround yourself with high frequency people.
Exactly. Yeah, and we have a Telegram group that's pretty cool. It's public,
that
Telegram.
Means the invitations that you're going to receive are going to be high frequency instead of all kind of things.
Right.
So you try to surround yourself with high frequency people. That's a good start.
That's a really good start.
That's what we've told Find Your Tribe. Find your tribe is high frequency people.
Yes.
Right. Another thing is get a better understanding of the health and wellness of your body.
Yes.
Right. There are a lot of invitations to treat your health and wellness and sickness and all that stuff in certain ways that aren't high frequency.
Right.
And they are not your high frequency timeline. Mm-hmm. It's hard to, have high frequency thoughts when you're in pain or...
It is hard, yes.
Yes. And so effective ways to handle what is occurring with your body, because you brought your body to where it is now. Right. Now bringing your body out of that, right? Mm-hmm. How do you do it high frequency? Mm-hmm. These are just basically the questions you start with. It's like, I have a headache. Mm-hmm. That's catching yourself in, a painful timeline, I guess you would say, right?
Yeah. So, and pain is usually a message, right, from the body.
Data. Pain is data, right?
Yes, data, information, yes.
So with this data, am I going to suffer for the next whatevers? Or what?
Fix it. Find ways to fix it so it doesn't happen again.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Let's lock in the timeline where the headache
Doesn't happen.
diminishes.
Yeah.
And the actions that I got to take, maybe I got to turn off the lights. Maybe I need to drink water. And when I say
Yes.
drink water, drink water.
Yes.
Coherent water with music singing in it and the pretty colors and running in the stream with the birds singing. Real
Right.
water.
Real
Drink some
water.
real water. Or it might be I want an aspirin.
Yeah.
It could be an aspirin is the thing.
Yeah.
You can tap into it. See which one is your timeline.
Yeah.
So your body healthy. And I think that might be one of Avocado Boy's strengths in his best day ever is his body's usually, by all appearances,
Healthy.
well attended to, I'll say.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. He puts a lot of
he
attention
puts
in
a
making
lot of attention
sure.
on making sure of that.
Yes.
So that can help.
It definitely does, yes.
Yeah.
All right. You feel complete?
I think the more of us who do this, that's your line now, the easier it becomes for all of us.
Yes.
Start today.
Start today.
Okay.
All right.
Now we're complete. Love you,
Love you,
honey.
darling.